Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Philo Concept. So I take a lot of village style photos. You can check them out on Instagram. Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you how I edited this image into this village style one. Now mind you, this is not the raw file, this is a JPEG, just so those of you taking pictures with your cell phones can also follow along. Anyway, let's just get started. Welcome to Philo Concept. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Alright, so this is the image I'm going to use, so I'll go ahead and open it up in Photoshop. So the first and most important thing is to create a duplicate, so hold down the Ctrl key and press J. If you don't want to go through that too, you can just click and drag and drop this on the new layer icon, which is right here, and that is it. So you know what, let's just hide this for a second, so we'll be working with this from now onwards. So let's do in a little bit. Now if I take a close look at this image, I'm not comfortable with having this on this side and having this on that side. You can see they are out of focus, but they are still in the image. So what we are going to do is just take them out. So I'll just zoom in a little bit like so, and we are just going to be using J on our keyboard to bring up these few options. So we have the spot healing brush tool, we have the healing brush, and we have the patch tool. What I'm going to be using is the healing brush tool. This allows me to sample an area and just brush over using that sample area. So let's increase the size. You right click to get this option, and to start working, make sure that the image is still active. Hold down the Alt key to sample an area. So I'll just sample this area like so. Now that I have the area sampled, you can see if I hover over a new surface, that area is also showing. So I can just brush in like so using my new sampled area, and I'll start and brush in again, and I'll do that continuously until this part of the image is gone. Now you can see it is not quite perfect. We still have that white area in there, and to correct this you can continue using the healing brush tool, or you can select the patch tool. The patch tool allows you to create a selection like so. So now that I have that, just click and drag this onto the new area you want to copy the sample from, and just release, and it's just going to sample like so. If you want to deselect, you can just go up here, select, and click on deselect, or just use the shortcut key Ctrl D. So I'll go back to the healing brush tool. I have some edges over here I want to correct. So if I select the zoom tool and I click on fit screen, you can see that this is out. So this is before and this is after. Now we also have the same problem here. So I'll again be using the healing brush. You know what, let's just use the patch tool for this. So I'll sample this area, click and drag and drop this at the top, and it vanishes like so. We can also just use the spot healing brush tool. With this you don't have to even sample. Photoshop is just going to analyze your background and do the corrections for you. So the moment I just paint or brush over that area, Photoshop is just going to work within that area for me. If I move over here too, we have a few branches which I'm going to take care of, and probably this area too, and probably this one too. So let's fit this to screen again, and you can see I think I have another problem in here. So I'll do that one more time. Just brush over. Photoshop is going to analyze and try to fill up those areas, and this is looking quite nice. I also want to take away this, or probably let's just leave it in. No, I still want to take it out. So again I'll go back to the patch tool because it's much simpler. Create a selection like so, move it over here and release. Now this isn't perfect, so I'll do it one more time. Probably I should sample a much smaller surface, and let's sample this area also. Bring this over here. Okay, now that we have that, I can use either the spot healing brush tool or the healing brush tool. I'll be using the healing brush for now so that I can sample the areas I want to use, and just brush in like so, and do the exact same thing over here and over here, and probably over here as well. So let's go back and see what we are working with. It's not perfect, so let's see if I can just do a little bit more. Okay, now this is quite easy to do because the background is out of focus. If it was in focus, it's going to be a lot difficult. So this is our before and after. I should probably just correct this area as well. Alright, so now that we have this in there, we can start working with the camera raw filters. So hold down Ctrl and press J to create a duplicate again, and we'll be working on that duplicate. So go up here where we have the filter and click on camera raw filter. The short key is Ctrl Shift and A. Now the first part I want to go in is the calibrations, which is located right here. So I'll just click on that, and I'm going to increase the saturation for the blue. So the moment I crank it up, you can see that this is what we are getting. I feel that it makes the images pop a bit, so that's what I'm going to be using. Somewhere around 30 should be okay. And I'm also going to increase the saturation of the green by about 10. Now this is what I have. Now because I increase these two saturations, the image is going to look a bit yellowish. So what I'll do is I'll go into hue, saturation and luminance, which is right here, HSL, and I'll start making a few changes. Usually the first one is within the hue. Now in the hue, what I usually do is I crank up the greens a little bit so that I can see how greenish the leaves are and all of that. But in this scenario, I'll actually make them more yellowish, so something like this should be okay. You can also go ahead and play with the yellows in the, but I'm just going to leave everything as that. Only changes are going to be in the greens. Now move over to the saturation. The yellows, I'm going to crank them up just a little bit. Now the oranges are for the face usually. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn down the saturation of the face so that we still get, let me fit this screen, so that we still get that dark skin color. Now you can see this is where we were and this is how we are now. So the skin color moves back to the dark like we started previously. And for the rest, I'll just be increasing them slightly. So I think I'm comfortable with them. I think this is looking quite nice. I should also turn down the reds because her skin color is popping up so much. So if I turn down the saturation for the red, you can see this is what we have. Of course, I'm not going to make it entirely negative 100. Just a little bit should be just fine. So about negative 5 should be just okay. So if you go into the luminance, what this allows us to do is increase the brightness or make the colors darker. So for the blacks, for the reds, which I said are the skin color, you can see that if I turn it down, this is what we have. The same applies for the orange, which is also within the skin color area. This is what we get. I don't think I'll be changing much in here, only for the aqueous, which is for the skies. I'm just going to increase them just so slightly because they look quite weird over at these edges. So I think somewhere around here should be just fine. Now once I'm done with this, I'll go into the basic. Now the basics allows me to increase the exposure, the contrast, highlight and all of that. The first thing I usually do is increase the exposure. I'm just going to leave the temperature as it is because I like them already. Now you can also just make them warmer in case you shot this during the day, or just make it cooler in case it is during the night. But I like my white balance, so I'm going to leave it as that. So what I'm going to do is just increase the exposure by 0.3 and I'll increase the contrast by about 5. Then turn down the highlights and turn down the white. Also, I'm going to turn down the shadows to about -20 and the blacks to about -5. The texture, because I have a face in there, I'm also going to turn it down so that it smoothens out the face like what you can see now. If I increase it, then the face is going to be quite blown out, so about -5 should be okay, and a clarity of about 10. So basically this is how to create this. But before, I also want this image to pop as much, so I'll go into effect and I'll turn this down to about -5. What this creates is a vignetting around the image. So -15, let's actually make it 20, so you can see it has this vignetting effect over here. The midpoint, I usually set it all the way to the left and the roundness all the way to the right, along with the feather, which I also set to the right. So you can see that this is what we get. I think the vignetting is a bit too much, so I'll make it about -10. and I always set it to highlight priority. So basically this is it. If you take a close look at the before and the after, this is what I am getting. Alright, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch more of our videos, hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo for Final Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.